Aloha. Welcome to Unlocking Your Potential. I want to talk to you about why maybe some of the strategies that you've been employing along the years haven't been working for you. You haven't gotten your breakthrough. Maybe you're still struggling with depression or anxiety like I was. Maybe you just don't know what's going on with you, but you know that you want to feel better. You know that you want to rejuvenate instead of having this gnawing feeling like we want to get out of our own skin, right? And allow life to be smoother. And I'll just tell you, like, personally, I didn't think I would make it to the age of 30. I didn't expect or plan to be on this planet. I didn't expect or plan to be a mom or a business owner or a wife or, like I said, even here beyond 30 years old. So life was very bleak for me in the past. And I struggled with suicidal ideation. And I struggled with anxiety and I struggled with depression. Like, pretty bad. And I'm just so grateful that I found and followed my own intuition. And I was guided through that dark period of my life into a way of being where I'm excited to be here now on the planet. I'm 43. I just had my first baby. I plan to have two more. I'm married to the man that I know belongs to me, like is mine, like chosen before we were born, like planned it out. I know that there's a plan for your life. So no matter how hard things seem right now, no matter how bleak they seem, no matter how stressful or chaotic or just insurmountable they seem, I want you to know that you're in the right place tonight and that I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt. I'm not reading this from a book or a script. I've been walking the talk for about 15 years now. I was talking the talk for over 20, but there's a difference between walking it and talking it. There's a difference between practicing the true art of forgiveness and turning the other cheek and letting people off the hook and, trying to be compassionate and understand and be positive about things that have happened in your life and downplay our regrets and, put the pretty face on. And, at the end of the day, I think a lot of us, and who this is really for tonight, are people who feel like they're living a little bit in like a prison cell, and they're looking for the key. And you've been doing therapy and you've been doing coaching and, you've tried a bunch of different things and maybe you watched some telesummits and read some books and done some intensive therapy, but still like you feel like something's missing. So this is for you. This is the master's level. This is the next level that you're looking for. There's a certain level of healing and transformation that you just cannot do on your own. You must unite your will with your higher power. So it's not just about getting naked and being vulnerable and being intimate and having a guide or a mentor in your life, which you should all have 5 or 6 like Tony Robbins. But really working with the unseen world, working with your holiest of holy whole spirit, and doing walking that out and embodying that more and more moment to moment and coming home to it. Really, I don't think we're ever going to get to a finish line, but remembering. So I'm going to give you some tools and techniques. Like I don't have a script here, so this is what's coming through for you. Just coming back to this present moment right now. So if you're doing anything else outside of this, I would just invite you to be here now for the next 60 to 90 minutes, and really milk this for all that it's worth and not be multitasking. Have a notebook with you, watch the replay, slow down and employ these simple but powerful tools and techniques that are just going to flow through me from spirit because I've been embodying and letting go of everything that I need to let go of in order to let more of my spirit shine through and to just be who I am. And it's it's wonderful. Like you're wonderful. Like you are loved. You are wanted. You are good enough. You are so unique. You are so well guided, guarded, and protected. You're so well provided for. Your needs are already met. Like, but we don't think that way because frankly, we're trained the opposite, right? Like I feel like ever since I was a little girl, I was told, you can't do this, you can't do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Stuff that was okay today wasn't okay tomorrow. Very confusing and chaotic. Even if your childhood wasn't full of abuse like mine was, just being a kid and being at the whim and fancy of, if you're lucky, to parents nowadays, right, who are present and available to you, even it's still a lot. Like being dependent as a child is still a lot. And so even if there was no abuse, even if you had a happy childhood, you've still been through life. You've been through breakups, you've been through broken legs, you've been through losing your teeth, you've been through school, you've been teased, we've been at this point probably all betrayed, all embarrassed, all humiliated, all heartbroken. And this world teaches nothing about how to purge, how to release, how to digest, how to transmute the buildup that we naturally accumulate living life, just like in your house, how, you got to take out the trash. I mean, we take out the trash once, twice a day, right? We don't leave stuff all over the counter. We clean as we go along. If I noticed a piece of hair or lint on my shirt, I would pick it off and let it go. I take a shower every day. In the physical world, we do a lot to encourage turnover, to encourage release, to encourage digestion. If you have a clean house, like that's something that's just a standard for us and our family. Like we're not like crazy about it, but we're just naturally, we like things, kind of prim and proper and in order and clean, clean and sanitary. Even though we have a 3-year-old, people come into our house and they're like, who cleans for you? I'm like, we just, we just pick up as we go along. And so that's what I want to teach you how to do in your inner world. And in order to keep your inner world clear, you got to get real about how are you really feeling? Like what's really coming up for you? And how often do you check in about that? And how often are you really here now and present and grounded and taking advantage of all that life is offering you right in front of you? We're missing it. And that's what I feel causes depression and anxiety and just feeling like lackluster. And then comes the incessant thinking and the beating ourselves up and saying things that are just not true, like we should already be there now. And then you throw in marriage and a kid on top of it, or you're lonely and you want those things. And there's just a lot of people who are offing themselves right now. And I'm not saying that you're, going to swallow a bottle of pills tonight, but Spirit really put on my heart and said that there's 18 to 20 people in my proximity right now that emotionally, maybe not physically, but emotionally are really close to giving up and really close to settling. And this is such an important time on the planet, I feel like there's a real, not just a call, it's like we've all been on this journey for a long time. If you're here with me in Zoom, you're not a newbie, probably. And if you are, that's okay. But you've lived a life, a good amount, you've been through a lot. This is not your first rodeo in the spiritual world, talking about healing, transformation, being your best self. You've been on that path for a while, but there's something missing. And I really want to help you understand that that thing that you're missing is a moment to moment relationship between you and your higher power, and letting it almost speak through you, letting it work through you. And in order to do that and have that experience, when I first heard that, I thought, I don't want that. Like, where's me in that? It's like, you are that. It's the real you. You weren't created alone. You're not meant to be an I, right? That's an ego, right? And we cut ourselves off and we think that we're separate, less than, better than. That also causes a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression, just trying to keep up with that, the competition. So I invite you to just put your hand on your heart, be open to what I'm saying tonight. You don't have to believe anything that I'm saying tonight. Like I said, there's going to be tools and techniques just kind of coming through me. I'm letting my higher power guide this conversation. And I'm here just to be truly helpful and to say that if you've been looking for the key to unlock things for yourself for a few years now, I know I've got it, because it's your way. Like, I'm basically teaching you how to do it your way, using your intuition, working with your higher power. So I'm not the coach who's going to tell you you should do X, Y, Z, with your parenting or with your dating or with your money, right? I'm the coach who's going to show you how it's going to work for you. and you're going to feel satisfied without the regret, without the depression, without the anxiety, without the self-sabotage, without the procrastination, without the second guessing. More and more. Nobody, life would be boring if we could do that all the time, but definitely 51% of the time, right? You want to be in flow. You want to be flourishing. You want to be okay with yourself. You want to know that you're not alone. Don't you want somebody to talk to you at night? I mean, at night when your mind is racing, you are talking, but mostly to an ego, which isn't even real. Some people call it an enemy. Some people call it the devil. Some people call it demons. Either way you look at it, it's not good. It's not healthy. What if I could show you a way to tap in and work with and talk to your higher power, where all these little decisions that you have to make every day about this, that, and the other thing, all these worries and concerns that you have that's taking up space on your hard drive and like keeping you from doing more of what you really, really want to be doing. What if you could just get those questions answered in a way where like you knew that's what was true for you right now. You knew what to do next. You knew that you were safe. You knew, and you weren't going back and forth and worrying about it, worrying about the future, worrying about the past. That's depression and anxiety, right? When you're trying to do it on your own. And I'll be frank with you, like us as souls, like we're mature, we're older. So we just don't have a lot. Like a lot of us have to go through things like car accidents and divorces and major losses, death of a loved one, these big, and over again, not just one. Like people like me and you will go through like 5 or 6 of these, whereas other people seem to be just coasting along. They seem to be just fine, but it's like, what the F, you know? And now they're wake up calls. They're opportunities for growth, and yeah, a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety can come from, just trying to do it on your own when you've lived enough lifetimes to know that that's just not natural, and it's boring, frankly. You kind of get sick of your own stuff. So I feel inspired to look at these cool notes that I made before I popped on live. I got these messages and I want to make sure that I deliver them. So the first one I got was to ask you, and hopefully if you're here live, you brought a burning question. If you brought a burning question, would you please be brave enough, courageous enough to pop it in the chat for me? I got to ask you a question, but you get to ask me a question if you're here live tonight. Was to ask you, how much time do you spend thinking about other people, worried about other people, not just about what they're going to think about you, but like their well-being, like thinking that what's best, trying to figure out what is best for anybody, even your own children. And that might sound like a little crazy, like, why are you asking me this question? Like, of course I think about my kids and what would be best for them. But like, what if you just knew, or you knew that you didn't know, and you felt like you could trust the higher power and what the higher power was trying to do with those people? How much more time and energy would you have to get on with the other things that are really important to you in your heart, things that maybe you're not even aware of are in your divine plan? Like, here's the thing. One day we're all going to die. And the moment that we transition is the moment that we remember everything that we have always known we came here to do. And you're going to realize real quick whether you can check those boxes off or not. And I met a woman in this retreat center many years ago who told me that's the worst pain she's ever experienced in her life. She died on the table in a hospital in Hawaii. And she went to the other side. She had a death experience and realized, holy crap, there's so much that I know I should have done that I kept putting off, that I now remember that I didn't do. Please let me go back. And I guess they argued with her and told her like, no, you can't go back. And she was like freaking out. And she's like, it's just the worst pain. So it's like my personal mission to make sure that if you have a family in you, if you have a book in you, if you have a business in you, if you have a charity in you, if you have a song in you, if you have something of value, the world desperately needs you. That's the other thing. Like the depression and anxiety also comes because you don't realize how freaking awesome you are. Did you guys read the God memorandum that I sent you a few emails back? I think it was this morning. The God memorandum by Augmendino. I dare you to read that. Like once you read that, you'll realize who you really are, what you're really made of. It's not going to tell you like what you're specifically here to do, what your life plan is, but it just helps you get out of this mindset that we've all been dumbed down by. Like we don't know who we are. Like we're so sophisticated, we're so protected. Like even just the temperature receptors in our hands, the brain that we have, the skin that we have, how things regenerate. You have a whole 95% of your body turns over and becomes like a brand new body every single year. Like you have a new kidney every year. So why do people battle cancer for years and years? It's in the mind. It's in the mind. And that's where depression and anxiety is. It's in the mind and it's in the body. That's not who you are. There's so much more than that. And yet this body and this mind that we've been given is so sophisticated and so advanced and so amazing and so powerful and so creative. If there's 18 to 20 of you, if there's one of you sitting on my email list right now, stuck, feeling trapped like I was, I got to get you out, man. You can't live like that. That's not living. That's not fair. And I'm doing you an incredible disservice by not showing up here live tonight. So I'm excited to do more of these. But if you're here with a burning question, please put it into the chat. If you're watching the replay later, send me your burning question by email. Find time on my calendar. Like, let's talk. Like, I'm not going to have this inspiration and I'm not going to have this time and I'm not going to have these. We don't get opportunities forever. Doors open and close, you know? So if you're here and this is resonating with you, let's make sure that you allow me to at least take a crack at helping you take the next step in your journey and getting out of Stuckville, getting out of Angerville, getting out of Guiltville, getting out of hell, because that's what it is. And I feel like this world is specifically targeting sensitive, intuitive, empathic women in the Western world and just pushing us and pushing us and pushing us on purpose to the edge. Like in so many ways, I'm not going to get into tonight. Maybe you can see some of them, maybe you can't. But the biggest gift that I got from being disabled for 7 years was the time alone. Like I had a COVID experience long before. I had a matrix experience long before. Like being broke and alone and disabled. Well, that's what I chose, right? I could have chose to like kill myself. I could have chose to go into like drug addiction. I could have chose to become an alcoholic. I could have chose to just take the pain pills and rot away in my bed watching Maury Povich, right? Like I could have chose to find a man to take care of me, right? I chose to take advantage of that alone time, of that desperation, of that depression, of that anxiety, of that awareness of the depression and anxiety. While most of you were having children, God bless you for doing that. While most of you were in college, while most of you were taking care of your grandchildren, while most of you were working 9 to 5, I was alone with a mentor working, like experimenting with this stuff and testing all this law of attraction, manifestation, you know, quantum physics, metaphysics, A Course in Miracles, Abraham Hicks, like Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson. Like I was the I Ching. I was walking this stuff out. I was playing with it. I was experimenting. I was testing with it in real time in my life because I had nothing to lose. I didn't have kids. I wasn't married. I lost everything in the physical world I had worked for. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't go home sex to distract myself. And I refused to take the pain pills. I refused to become a number. I refused. And I'm not knocking anybody who feels like that's the next natural step for them. But I just knew in my heart, I was meant for more. I was not going to live a mediocre life. I was going to become an extraordinary human. Like all of a sudden, this girl who didn't even think she would make it to 30, at 27, is now like, it's do or die. And I'm just going to fuck it. Like, I'm just going to rock it out. Like, I'm just going to see what happens if I start applying all these spiritual practices. Like, I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to jump. I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to say that. I'm going to not say that. I'm going to like literally refine myself and just see what happens. And so the gift of that is that I did a lot of the heavy lifting for you. I can save you a ton of time. I can save you a lot of energy. And I cleared a pathway out of the mental congestion, the anxiety, the depression, PTSD, loss, trauma, and tap you into your own spiritual gifts and then guide you as you walk out using them in the world to create a profound difference for other people, even if it's just your own family or community, right? Not all of us are meant to be a Tony Robbins type, right? Otherwise, Tony Robbins wouldn't be Tony Robbins. Not that I'm like a big subscriber of his, he's just a name I know that you know. But the point is that you have gifts and talents inside of you that the world desperately needs. Like you've got a vision in your heart. And I want to make sure that this year, you know what that is. You're going 7 layers deeper. You're going bigger. You're releasing the past because we've all been through so much just in the last few years, like with COVID and everything. It's just like, the change in the culture and the politics and the feminism, and just the rise of hookup culture and like just all of this crazy stuff that's going on and exerting pressure. And even if you're not plugged into it, you still are plugged into it, and everybody's mind around you is too. So we've just all been through a lot. And I feel like us sensitive, intuitive, empathic types who know that we're meant to do something of value for the world and who really care about preserving traditional family values and having our own flourishing family, that we stick together, that we learn and grow with each other, right? Like I'm not just a teacher, I'm a student. I learned so much in every single one of my sessions because my goal is to allow my channel to be clear enough so that spirit's coming through for both of us right now, you know? But mostly you, if you're my client. Anyways, let's see. So that was the first message is it just literally says, stop thinking so much about other people and bring the focus back on yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you want to be truly helpful to another person, you're not going to find those answers and those solutions for them in your head. Like if we're really honest, we don't even know what's best for ourselves, but your higher power does, your Holy Spirit does. And when you tap into that and you allow it to lead you and guide you and you test it out and you take small risks over and over, you begin to build up a trust with it. And so you don't even have to learn how to, like, if you have trust issues and a problem with authority like me, you don't even have to figure out how to trust other people or trust a business deal or trust that you're going to be able to afford this investment. Like you can literally tap in and get that information for yourself. I mean, you could pay me to help you do that, or you can pay me to teach you how to do it, or you can call a psychic, or you can keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and get a 50-50 shot at maybe having the right answer, or you can tap into the creator of worlds, the highest, holiest spirit, and get that information for yourself. Like, I want to give you your freedom back. I want to give you back the keys to your own castle. You've been cut off. We've all been. And that was the gift of my disability is I spent 7 years. And that's what I realized. I realized that this world is just perpetuating fear and anger and guilt and shame and just telling us left is right and right is left. And it's just so confusing. And we're not taking, and then we're being pushed and pressured to do more and give more and grind it out and, do everything a man can do and, be super independent and, results driven. And I'm results driven, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of encouraging of triggering. There's a lot coming in, a lot of data coming in. And we are not, unless we're encouraging ourselves and we're in a community that's encouraging it, we're not being given the gift by the culture of resting and digesting and healing and transmuting and slowing down and actually implementing. We're just running, a lot of us. And for sensitive, intuitive, empathic types, you're going to get anxious, you're going to get depressed, and you're going to want to tap out because you know better than most people around you that like this is not the real world. You don't have to be here. And it's a choice, right? Like that's why I was able to give myself such full permission to really test it out, rock it out, experiment with it, like no holds barred, like because I literally had nothing to lose. Like I literally was like, listen, I wasn't planning to be here until 30. Life is a gift, life is a choice. I believe in reincarnation. I know this is not my first time around. I've always been highly intuitive about that. I don't have to be here. If I'm going to be here, it's going to be amazing and it's going to be extraordinary, or I want out and I can kill myself any day. Let's just play full out today. And I'm telling you, when you do that, world shift, reality shifts, things open up, resources come in at just the right time. Like if you can regulate your emotions and get in control of your own mind and your own body and tap into the creator of world and use that guidance and play out here in the world, like it can be really effing cool. Like you can accomplish things that people are like, what? Like, like I had a friend who I taught some of these techniques. He came back and told me like they're like magic erasers. Like relationship problems that were going on for years are changing. My like just the way I wake up in the morning, the way I go to bed at night, the way I run my day, like things are just more in flow. My timing, the management, the decision making, like the fun that I'm having, like it's just crazy. Like another woman said, it's like crack. Like one of the tools I gave her, she's just like, I love doing this every day. Like I just feel so in charge. I feel so like on my throne. I just really like the way that I feel now. And it's all natural. Like it's just about managing your mind and managing your emotions and working with spirit in a specific way that works, that's real for you, that's unique to you. Um, it's it's the thing that you've been doing since the day that you were born that you stopped doing probably around 4 years old because finally you just kind of gave in that to the fact that the adults around you had forgotten. And if you wanted their love and you wanted their affection and you wanted their approval, you were going to have to start doing it their dumbed down way. So we're just removing layers of and patterns, layers of crap and patterns that aren't working for you from your system so that the real you shines through. And the real you is intuitive. The real you has a plan and a calling and a purpose. The real you has a mate that you are meant to be with, that nobody can ever take away from you, that nothing, like there's whatever's in your heart to have, it's yours. It's literally already yours, or you wouldn't even desire it in the first place. It wouldn't be a desire in your heart. You didn't put it there. It's just there and you're realizing it and you're walking it out and allowing it to unfold in front of you and doing that through the process of alignment, not manifestation. Because it's already manifested, like it's already done. You're not making it show up, you're becoming aware to it. You're becoming aware of it. You're hopefully having fun on your way to it. So that was another message. So I'm going to circle back around to that. Oh no, I'm actually going to finish what I started. Hang on one second. So Spirit wanted me to tell you all that no one can threaten what's yours. So like Jesus Garcia is my husband. He's his name was written on my heart the day before I was even born. Like that's my husband. I don't have to worry about him. You know, if he comes, if he goes, if he there's my business is my business. I don't have to worry about competition. There's not another me out there, right? I had somebody tell me, even though some of the things that you're saying, you know, I've heard other people say it, there's something about the way that you say it. And I'm sharing this with you so that you understand that there's a uniqueness and a specialness and a purpose set aside for you. That's valuable, that's needed, especially now on this planet. And if you're not out there playing full out, you're going to get depressed. You're going to get anxious. You're going to have racing thoughts. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel like it's not working. Right? So I'm encouraging you to come back to your breath And another question I have for you is, are you a mouth breather or are you a nose breather? Are you a chest breather or are you a belly breather? It's really important that you understand how your body and your mind works. Breathe in through your nose. There's filtering going on. There's circulation going on that you don't get when you breathe in through your mouth. And so in this culture of fight or flight, in this culture of fear, in this culture of condemnation, in this culture of competition, it's really important to come back to basics. So I'm going to be giving you basics tonight in my 6-week program in Flow and Flourishing, which I hope you'll take a look at because it's only for a select few people, but it's like super powerful. Everybody loves it who does it. They always sign up for more and have amazing results in 6 weeks, so much that I almost guarantee them. Because if you show up and you do the work, there's spirit's doing the work for you. If you do the work to let spirit do the work for you, then amazing miracles can happen in a very short amount of time. Anyways, breathing through your nose. So in that program, we're going to get more sophisticated. But today I want to just give you some basics that are going to make a difference if you apply them over the next few days consistently. So breathing in through your nose, really important. Close your mouth more. And remember that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Like, do more listening, do less talking. Do you really need to defend every point? Do you really have to prove, if somebody says, oh, I actually reached out to somebody through Facebook Messenger who told me to send them a message about an investment thing that we're doing. And she's like, I don't want to have this conversation here. I could have said to her, you're the one who told me to ping you on Messenger. I don't need to do that. Like, you don't even know. By managing your mind and managing your emotions and uniting yourself with spirit, these dramas and these traumas that they just zap your freaking energy, you don't even get involved anymore. It's like it's almost like you're raptured, like you're up above the static, the noise, the lack, the fear, the guilt, the shame, and what's possible, what you think is possible. You're literally living a quantum life. It's possible, but you've got to release a lot. So if you're depressed and you're anxious, if you're feeling guilty or angry deep down inside in ways that you know, in ways that maybe you don't know, you're holding yourself down and you're playing at lower levels. And what you're allowing to come in more than half the time is not actually what you want. So some of this stuff tonight, this is why I said just be open to what I'm saying, because some of this stuff tonight is not going to make sense to your head because it doesn't make sense to the head. I saw a sticker the other day that said, oh, what did the sticker say? Something like it's only confusing if you try to make sense of it. So anyways, what was the message? Oh, so you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. That's just like a little side note. Remember to listen more. Remember to forgive more. Remember that forgiveness, learning how to truly forgive is going to be a game changer in your life. Like, forgiveness gives you everything you want. And a lot of people think that they're forgiving when they are being compassionate, when they're trying to be understanding, but that's not forgiving. Forgiving is actually allowing the traumatic energy that came up for you in that triggering situation to be transmuted in a way where you rise up. You're up leveled, your character is developed, your game is enriched, your knowledge is bigger today. I just see a lot of coaches online right now that are like, I'm going to help you make this amount of money, or I'm going to help you get the man of your dreams, or I'm going to help you heal that cancer. What if you had the guide, the internal guidance to know exactly which one of them to hire at exactly right, like the right time? What if you already knew that you were going to be successful? Like, I'm just feeling so passionate and lit up. And I don't know if you are too. Maybe I'm skipping ahead here, but like, your intuition is the most valuable that you own, and most people don't even know they have it. And we spend so much time trying to figure stuff out and hanging out in confusion and overwhelm. And honestly, I think the culture, people behind the culture trends are doing it on purpose to confuse us as intuitives and empaths and meant to be leaders and business owners who have hearts and want to do things that are good for the world. I almost feel like we have an opponent, we have an enemy who's trying to emotionally cloud us so that life does pass us by and we don't get to do what we're really meant to do on this planet. I think a lot of us are called to make a difference for women and children and families and people who don't have the opportunities that we have. We're so fucking blessed, especially if you live in the US or the UK or any place, in the first world. Why is it acceptable that we have a third world? Like, what the hell is that? Right? Like, why aren't we in there doing something about that? Like right now, like, why isn't that a topic of conversation? Like, I don't need to hear about whether or not you want to chop your genitals off. Like, I want to hear about what we're doing to help these children, you know? And anyway, so kind of living in a crazy world, kind of a lot of pressure, kind of a lot of confusion. Life is hard just in general to begin with, to be spirit, dumbed down, to be in a mind body system. It's a lot to manage. And so we've been very well trained in how to do that in the outer world. I did my hair, I got this nice outfit. But how are we really feeling inside? Because that's what is attracting us that to certain things. That's what we're broadcasting to the world. That's the energy that we're running on. And that's another message, is that if you keep running on empty, you're always going to be empty. You've got to learn how to nurture, support, and really take care of the mind, not just the body on the outside, but your emotions. And stop putting this positive thinking, trying to be spiritual, happy face on it. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Um, Also causes depression and anxiety, trying to keep up the facade, right? So the other thing that's coming up is that no one can threaten what's yours. I know I talked about that a little bit earlier. And Spirit just wants me to let you know that whatever the vision is that's written in your heart, it's yours. It's yours. You didn't just make it up. You didn't create it on your own. It's not going anywhere. It's always going to be tugging at you. I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. When I was like 19, I was looking into intentional communities and eco villages and just living closer to the land. I'm from Buffalo, New York, where things are really cold and very isolating. Because everybody's like indoors and drinking and watching hockey most of the time, and I just not interested in that. And so, anyways, I wanted to get out and I wanted to explore and I wanted to check out different countries, and I didn't want to go too far. Anyways, Hawaii, this island, it was just in my heart from 19 on. I realized it. But I thought, well, this is the time where I got to go to college and I got to intern and I got to volunteer and I'm supposed to, be preparing to get a really good job and make really good money. And, so after I go to school, then maybe I'll go to Hawaii, you know, and just sacrificing because what is in your heart is who you are. Like when I say I'm Christina, I point here to my heart. I don't point here to my head. I don't point to my home or my bank account and say, or my car and say, that's me, or my kid, or my husband. No, I point to my heart. So what's in your heart is who you are. It is what you're here for. And so if you're not paying attention to this, then what the heck are you doing with your life? And how many people are less better off because you're not out there living your full life, your full potential, right? What kind of an example is that for our children? What are we setting them up for? So there I was, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, taking on copious amounts of student loan debt to do the thing that I thought I needed to do to be successful, only to get in this car accident at the age of 27 and realize all this stuff that I'd worked so hard for and sacrificed so long for and so much for could just be taken away from me overnight. Your intuition can never be taken away from you. Never. Your connection to God can never be taken away from you. Never. And it will keep you safe. It will help you save money, save time, save energy, make the right decisions, and just fucking have more fun, frankly. Just way more fun. And the bouts of anxiety and depression, less and less. Like taking pills to treat these things, if you've got to do that to stay on the planet to survive, fucking A, take a pill. Okay. I'm not judging. I'm just saying it can't be a lifestyle if you don't, unless you want to live a mediocre life. That's my opinion. Like you can't be on antidepressants for the rest of your life and have the most amazing life. I don't believe it. Maybe some people can, but I think it's putting a band-aid over a symptom. And at some point, we've got to work ourselves up to taking that crutch away and dealing with the real problem, right? I just knew it wasn't for me. And so if you know that that's for you, please keep doing you. I am not a health professional. I'm not making any health claims here. I'm not telling you to throw your script out the window if you're on one right now. That's between you and your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm just saying being stripped down while disabled was one of the best that my kid, my husband, finding my purpose. But that all came from being stripped down. So yes, being stripped down to like almost nothing broke me free, gave me this time to develop these tools, to understand this method, and to bring it here to you today. And so that's why I put together a 6-week program called In Flow and Flourishing. I'll drop the link. You can check out the landing page and see if you like it. That's why I created the 6-week program, so I could break down the method for you, show you the true art of forgiveness, show you catching and releasing, showing you how to stay present, how to stay grounded, how to stay centered, how to check in, testing things out, learning how to really get a trust for yourself and your intuition going, and just see like ridiculously cool results. There's testimonials on the page. I'll drop the link now, of people who just got like crazy success because they stopped doing it on their own, because they stopped doing it the way that they thought they were supposed to do it. That's obviously not working. Oh, I didn't have this. Where is she? Well, I don't know if I want to drop the link now and make you guys go over there, but I'm just gonna throw it in there, okay? I wasn't planning for that, but yeah, that's why I built out the 6-week program. I've been running it for a few years now. I don't always do it, but I do have a few spots left. It's a very small mastermind group, only runs for 6 weeks, only when I feel inspired to share it. And Spirit really put it on my heart that this year, people are, it's do or die time. What I went through back in 2009 with this car accident, I think a lot of people are going through now. And, you know, I almost took my own life. I almost did surrender to the pills. Can't tell you how many times I was just like, well, this doctor said I'm going to be disabled for the rest of my life. Might as well pull the trigger, or might as well take the pills, or might as well give up on my dreams. It was being stripped down and understanding this method and these tools and techniques, and really getting clear on the true art of forgiveness, which is just letting shit go and transmute through you. It's not about another person. It's not about what happened. It's not about if it was right or wrong. It's not about turning the other cheek and having compassion. It's like literally like real forgiveness is about, for your own good, learning how to give and recycle things back home to God. I know it sounds weird, but we do it when we throw an apple into the ground. We do it when manure becomes fertilizer. We do it when trash goes into the ground. We do it when we wash our car. We throw things in the laundry machine and we let a higher power break it down and release those stains from the clothes, the higher power in this analogy being the washing machine. You got to learn how to do that with your own system, or life's going to continue to get harder and harder and heavier and heavier. And even if you're fine and you don't have to take pills and you got a great guy in your life, it's like, remember that this too shall pass. One day they're going to be old and gray. We do not have the same opportunities. There's certain chapters for certain things. And I just think that this is a really important time right now. And that's why it's so dark. And that's why it's so heavy. And that's why so many people want to give up. And so I don't want that to be you. So that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm hosting this 6-week program. So check it out. All right. So let's see if there's any other things on my list. Yeah, so now it's time for burning questions. Yay! And again, if you're watching the recording later, please send your burning questions to me by replying to the email. So Trudy says, in one of your emails, you mentioned that everyone has spiritual gifts and the ability to strengthen those gifts. I'd love to know what I can do to strengthen these gifts. And Patricia was bold enough to share that she spends about 80% of her time thinking about others. Patricia, that hurt my heart for you. Oh my God. So I just feel really called to spend some time with Patricia. I don't know if you're here live or hopefully you see the recording, but everybody can benefit from this. You know, she was bold enough and brave enough to admit that she spends about 80% of her time thinking about others. So first of all, that wasn't something that like I read in a book and I was like, oh, that would be a very good question to ask. I'm literally allowing spirit to speak and work through me as much as possible, moment to moment, not just when I'm on live with you, but especially when I'm on live with you, but all the time because I'm with my kid and I'm with my husband. And what's more important than that? Like I'm living my life in tandem with my higher power and to the best of my ability, moment to moment, no matter whether circumstances are good or bad, I'm up or down, I'm live, other people can see me, I'm with my kid or I'm with the cable guy all the time, right? Like that's my goal now. And that's why life is so much more wonderful and fun for us, right? And that's why people want to pay me to use and take advantage of my spiritual gifts, right? And just paying me to be me, right? And so if you're spending 80%, so the point, if you're spending 80% of your time thinking about other people, that's not happening. That's not happening at all. You're just in your head, in ego, worried about other people, what they're thinking about you, what you think they should do, you think, and you're missing yourself. So you're just leaving all of this richness and all this potential and all this success and all these breakthroughs and all these moments of up leveling and connection and intimacy and fun and play on the table, right? So I'm so glad that you're here, Patricia. I so would love for you to book a little bit of like a complimentary session with me just so I can get in there and talk to you a little bit more and see what we can do about that, because I know you have a calling. I know you have a purpose. I know you have things that you're meant to do that nobody else is going to do them the way that you, Patricia, are meant to do them, will do them. And what a shame that would be for this world to miss your gifts and for you to miss the experience of sharing your gifts. You know, I think that's what gets me. Like if I ever start feeling depressed or anxious, I just pull out my phone and start calling people on my email list or people on my contact list, or I start talking to a client, you know, just pinging a client and be like, what can I do to serve you? What can I do to help? You know, I want to get in touch with spirit. I want to use my spiritual gifts because, like I said, even when I'm teaching, I'm letting spirit work through me. I'm being refined. I'm being up leveled while I'm doing my work. Right. And so, I'm going to tune in for a second. So that was the point, is that the point that I wanted to make about Patricia being so bold about that was that question, I didn't get that from a book to ask that question. I literally, that was spirit coming through for you. Spirit knew that you, Patricia, and probably a lot of other people who are watching this now and later are in their heads doing the same thing. I didn't know that. I didn't think about that. It's not like I read that in a magazine last week and I was like, oh, that'll be a really great question to ask on my live later. No. Like, this is how powerful and cool and fun developing your spiritual gifts and tapping into your intuition and allowing you and your spirit to be here now for all of us to enjoy. It knows better than your ego could ever figure out what you need to say, who needs to hear it, how they need to hear it. Like, here's the other cool thing: you don't even really have to worry about how you look, because that's not even in your control. Other people are going to see you the way that they're filtered to see you. So we spend so much time worrying about, like, and I do too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not a guru on a pedestal here telling you, like, I never am in my head thinking about other people or worried about how I look, because I am. Because, like, even right now, I'll just out myself. Like, I'm like, oh my God, well, they can see my flab. Oh, so I'm not perfect, but like, how much time am I spending worrying about that? Is that interfering with spirit working through me right now and making this connection with you and talking about my 6 week program, which could literally change the game in your life and your children's life, for 7 generations? How much is that affecting me? And only you know the answer to that. And only you can decide when you've had enough of playing small and sabotaging and being fucking controlled. Because honestly, I think that's what's going on. I think The Matrix is a documentary. It's not a movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. One of my clients says she can't watch it. It's too much for her. Okay, that's fine. She gets it in other ways. All right. But anyways, I think we're really being controlled and dominated and held down. And so, to answer, thank you, Patricia, for your question. I would love, um, well, Patricia made a comment. Patricia outed herself. So thank you so much for that share. Trudy asked a question about how we can develop our spiritual gifts. So there's lots of different ways I can answer that question. And there's lots of different tools and techniques that I could share with you for doing that. And so I could get really bogged down and overwhelmed right now trying to figure out what the right answer is. But I could just right here live in front of you tap into spirit and get the answer that you all most need to hear right now. So let me do that. So you might not want to hear this. I don't even want to hear this. Okay. But it's the answer that's coming up for all of us right now. And that is through forgiveness. Through forgiveness. And again, my belief is that what the world teaches about forgiveness and what you think you know about forgiveness and what I've experienced with forgiveness and what I know it really is and how I've seen it really work and the method for it are two completely different things. Oftentimes people hear that word and they just automatically think they understand what it is and they have no flipping idea. I said it before, I'll say it again. The true art of forgiveness is learning how to allow a natural cycle of coming in and going out of life through your body mind system. Kind of like learning to change your own oil in your car, learning how to refill your windshield. Like, taking care of a garden requires things to be on a cycle. In order for a garden to grow, you got to bring things in and you got to take things out. And then, depending on the season that you're in, you've got to, right? Most people don't know nothing about that right now. Like where I'm at right now at this retreat center in Hawaii, they know all about that, right? But most people just go to grocery stores and McDonald's and grab their food and eat it. They don't really understand the cycles and the seasons and how to work with life. Most people are in boxes. Maybe you're not because you're cool, you're hanging out here with me, but most people are in cubicles and boxes in houses surrounded by wiring, totally far removed from the sun, from the ground, from the earth, totally out of sync with themselves, waking up to alarm clocks. Like, why? I want to teach you how to live a life where you don't need an alarm clock. Um, I literally can tell spirit, like I did this a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, it's 8 a.m. in New York. It's 3 a.m. here. Every day. And I know that a lot of the women that I want to talk to are available between 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. Spirit, if you want me to get up and call these women at 3 a.m., you wake me up at 3 a.m. And I can kid you not. I, like, and I got a kid and no nanny at that time. I had no nanny at that time. And so it was weeks and weeks, almost 2 months that I had any childcare. And like Spirit would wake me up. In fact, one time Spirit had to use the smoke alarm just randomly for no reason at 3 o'clock, literally on the dot, 3:01. And it was so funny because I woke up at like 2:58 and I was like, after this, I'm going back to bed. That wasn't God. I need more sleep. I'm a mom. I gotta, and Spirit was like, F you. You told me I could wake you up. 3:01, the freaking smoke alarm went off for no reason, just random. Not random. Spirit was like, no, no, we had an agreement. Like, this is how you can work with life when you learn the true art of forgiveness, truly. So, forgiveness is just throw out everything you think you know about forgiveness and try to go with me here because there's a certain level where it's like, I don't mean to be crude, but it's almost like trying to explain sex to a virgin, right? Like I can tell you about it and how it works, but until you actually have your own experience, it's not going to make 100% sense to you, right? And there's a certain level of engaging in sexual activity that you just can't explain. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that. It's as natural as sex and as profound and fun and interesting and can be really healthy, right? So practicing the true art of forgiveness, which is basically for your own good, giving it and turning it back over to a higher power. So think about it like this. You have the experience of somebody cutting you off in traffic. I'll give you, this is a really good example. You have the experience of somebody cutting you off in traffic, and there's almost an accident. You know that like stabbing, that like feeling that you get when things like that happen? That's where you want to apply forgiveness. Not for the person who almost caused an accident, but for that energy of that like that shock. That's not nothing. That's something. You just felt that. And just because it's now dissipating and just because no accident occurred and just because you're safe now doesn't mean that that energy just goes away. No, now it's in you. You have that memory now. You need to recycle that. You need to allow your higher power to remove that. It's not even about removing, it's more of a turning over. It's a trap. It's You're kind of asking me how liposuction works right now, right? The surgeon knows, the nurse knows, and we can teach you how to do it. But it's a lot of allowing the higher power to do it for you and you deciding that you're worthy enough to not let that shock, not to pretend that that shock didn't just happen and just keep going on with your life. Like take a moment and digest that. You just maybe just saw your life flash in front of your eyes. Do you know what I mean? You were really scared when your husband didn't come home. You were really grieved when that man died. Like you were really ashamed of yourself if your dad walked in on you in the shower. I don't know, I'm making stuff up. Do you know what I mean? Like we all go through so many shocks and traumas and sadnesses and fears and anxiety or depression provoking experiences. Like if you really paid attention, if we were really paying attention, like I've been paying attention for a long time now, if you were really paying attention, you would probably register about 50 to 100, at least 50 to 100 shocks every day that your system, your mind is like, oh, I thought that, oh, like if you were catching and releasing those, if you were taking a moment to rest and digest, just a moment to mentally and energetically rest and digest, it's a process that you work with your higher power in order to do this. And there's techniques to stay present. So suffice to say, the first thing is you want to get honest and you want to get clear and you want to take the focus off of other people, circumstances, and your surroundings and really and how you look and really start putting it on. Like right now, I have tension in my solar plexus because it's such a good question. And I wasn't expecting to go here with all of you so deep on this live. And so there's a part of me that's like, I want to let it flow. And then there's another part of me that's like, can I really explain this right? And so I'm feeling this like conflict in my solar plexus and in my root chakra. And so rather than just kind of boiling through or getting to the next question or trying to do it this way or trying to making my own decision about it. Like I'm actually going to sit and I'm going to forgive this. I'm going to forgive the conflict right now, like in real time. Not because I'm in front of you, because this is a way of life, like not ignoring these pains in our heart, not ignoring the anxiety, not ignoring the depression, not ignoring the tightness around the stomach. I used to wear like a donut, like a tire, like a belt around my midsection all the time. Of just, and I didn't even realize I was carrying it for so many years, right? And so now I'm paying attention and I'm encouraging you. How do you develop your spiritual gifts? You clean this shit out. Like you clean, you work with your higher power, and I'll show you how in my 6-week program to work with your higher power to eradicate, to transmute, to forgive, to let go of, to recycle these congestions, grievances, traumas that are going on within you. And then your spiritual gifts just come through. Like I didn't set out to be an intuitive. Like I didn't set out to be a healer. I didn't set out to develop my clairaudience or clairsentience. I think Michael Bernard Beckworth said it best when he said, you don't have ears so that you can hear. You have ears because you do hear. So your clairsentience, your clairsenses, like clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognitive, like all your psychic senses, all your intuition, your gifts for healing. Lots of people, those are my gifts, but other people have other gifts. They will, they're already yours, they're already there. You came in with them, they're coded to you, and a lot of ours are similar, and we have names for them, but you don't have to set out to, well, I want to be more clairaudient, or I want to be more psychic, or I want to be a healer, I want to be intuitive. I worked on forgiving these little shocks that were happening during the day and the big shocks of losing my dad, being abused by my mom, having my stepmom try to get, like, the big stuff that happened in childhood and along the way, and then all the little shocks that we just go through naturally in a day. Like if you get sick, that's a shock. Do you just treat your physical symptoms, or do you actually process and digest the part of yourself that's like in regret because maybe you shouldn't have eaten that sushi, or who's mad at your friend because they coughed COVID on you, or who's really disappointed because you wanted to go on that hot date, or really worried that you're not going to meet your deadline at school or at work now. Like, do you work with your whole being? Forgiveness allows you to do that. And forgiveness is, in order to apply the true art of forgiveness, you got to get really present. You got to get really honest. You got to get really not self-centered, but self-focused. It's like, I see other people over there and I might think about them, but at the end of the day, what's going to matter and what's going to materialize and what I'm going to be available for, and the opportunities and the richness that I can bring to them is going to be based on how I'm thinking, because I'm the only one I can control how I'm thinking about them in relationship to myself, and how I'm thinking about myself in relationship to them. So it's really about watching yourself like a hawk, practicing the true art of forgiveness. Your spiritual gifts will just naturally go through the roof. You will naturally, because you don't have blocks, and you're not focused on other people, and you're not worried about your circumstances as much anymore. So then the channel's clear, and I mean, we're all spiritual beings. We're all connected to source. That's who we really are. So the more we can manage the mind and the body through using forgiveness is just a huge part of that. Using forgiveness is like going to the bathroom. You're not holding the stuff in anymore. You're letting it out, and you're flushing it down the toilet in a safe way where it doesn't hurt anybody, because you know that this stuff is coming out, right? Like your grievances, your regrets, your fear of abandonment, your disappointment, it's all coming out anyway. Eventually, it might come out in a drinking problem. It might come out on your kid. It might come out on your husband. It might, some people cut themselves. You know what I mean? Some people, it comes out. Well, let me show you how to forgive it, which is the true art of getting it out of your system in a healthy, safe, successful way. And then your channels clear, and then your spiritual just, one day people just started shoving money at me for my intuitive gifts. And I was like, I kind of been doing this my whole life to a certain extent. It's just who I am. And all of a sudden, over the last couple of years that I've been doing this forgiveness work, which I teach in my 6-week program, this method for forgiveness, like my intuition's like through the roof. Like it's really cool. Like I didn't have to set out to make that happen. It's a natural consequence. It's kind of like if you stop eating dairy and wheat, you're going to lose weight. You just will. You just are. So if you lose that emotional weight, the real you, the intuitive you, the healer you, the clairvoyant you, the clairaudient you, the successful you, the confident, calm, and clear you, it just naturally shines through. So I hope that answers your question. So Patricia said, yes, yes, yes. I'm not sure what you're saying yes to, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. And that's all we've got in the chat as far as like burning questions go. But if you want to pop another one in there, anybody who's here live, please feel free if you have like a follow-up question or anything. And then yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up pretty soon. So really good questions, really good time. Really glad that we're doing this. Really grateful. So remember to breathe in through your nose, ladies. Remember to breathe all the way down into your diaphragm, okay? Don't be just breathing into your chest, okay? So these are just little tools and little techniques that you can use to ground, center, be more present, feel like yourself, and let your real self shine through and tap into your higher power, okay? And also keep your mind from spinning and generating more stress hormones, which just cause more anxiety, more depression, more overwhelm, more confusion, and keep you locked in this prison cell. Breathing in through your nose. Really important that you're not panting like a dog all day, right? You want to encourage your body to rest and digest. So these are simple ways to allow your spiritual gifts to shine through, Trudy. Grounding, centering, becoming present, managing the energy that you have. So your heart is beating and your breath, you're being breathed all day, every day. So get a little conscious of that. Enjoy that process. Bring your attention back to your breath. Focus on your inhale. Focus on your exhale. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe in so that your abdomen gets filled like a water pitcher. You would fill a water pitcher the bottom up, right? So you want to breathe all the way down into your abdomen. It massages your organs. It's good for your circulation. It's going to help you stay calmer. It's going to encourage your body to go into rest and digest, especially if you follow your exhale all the way out of your body and count your inhales, count your exhales. Like if you're ever like super panicked or anxious or depressed, you want to get out of your head, focus on something in the room, like focus on this wood, focus on you can't see that there's a green light right there. I could focus on that green light and notice shape and color and texture. I can feel my feet on the ground. I can call myself back into my body, right? When you're in a meeting, when you're making a presentation, when you're talking to a client, when you're making an important decision, staying in tune with yourself and tapping into your higher power is just going to make and save you so much time and so much money and so much energy, right? Like you can get, like I went from being broke and disabled in February of 2015 to being, I mean, I guess I wasn't 100% disabled, but I was still partially disabled in the beginning of that year. By the end of the year, I was a 6-figure business owner, kickboxing and doing high intensity interval training. Like it took me 6 years before that to build my body up to that point. But in the beginning of 1 year, I was able to go like that last and knock it out of the park, right? On my first year in business, using these strategies, using these techniques, using these tools. There's a cumulative effect. So the more, like when we first start at this master's level, there's usually a lot of like internally, there's usually a lot of closets and drawers that got to get cleaned out. you usually got a basement that you forgot, a basement full of stuff that you forgot about, you know? So not only do we have to manage the new stuff that's coming in, the new bills, the new men, the new conversations, the new almost car accidents, the new balls dropping and plates spinning in the here and now, but we also got like a lot of like backup stuff that's been hanging out and sitting stagnant and, behind closed doors that we didn't even want to open, right? So in the beginning, those first couple of weeks in the 6 week program, it's kind of like you're remodeling your kitchen. It looks a lot worse than it does, than it did when you first started, right? Like if you want to remodel your kitchen, probably you've got a kitchen right now and it's functioning to a certain extent, but you don't like the wallpaper, you don't like the cupboards, there's not enough space. You want more, you want better, you want to have an extraordinary kitchen. You want to have the next level of, your dream kitchen. And so when you hire a contractor and you give the higher power permission to go in there and give you that better kitchen, he's got to rip the old shit out and there's going to be more of a mess, right? Like I used to organize people's homes for a living. Like this was like 25 years ago. I used to go into people's houses and like feng shui their spaces and clean out their cabinets and help them give stuff away to the Goodwill and organize their kids' rooms and stuff like that. And they would come in like the first couple of hours of my work and they'd be like, what's going on in here? It looks worse. And it's like, yeah, I gotta pull all the, we gotta open those doors, we gotta open those cabinets, we gotta pull all this stuff out and start sifting and sorting through it and deciding what makes sense to keep and what makes sense to throw out, right? But then you kind of get a handle on it. And if you just maintain it, right, then you don't have such a big blow up with your husband anymore. You don't have such big problems with your kids. You don't have these huge ups and downs with money, or with your health. You can get up ahead of it and learn how to maintain your life on your terms, in tandem with your higher power who will guide you to what's actually best. So yeah, I teach all of that in my 6 week program. It's called Inflow and Flourishing. I drop the link in the email, drop the link in the chat. If you're interested in participating, it starts next month. I would love to talk to you about it and see if you're a good fit. I'll ask you a couple questions. You can ask me a couple questions. We can come up with a plan. It's really about making over your mind, making sure you're on track to have your best year yet. We do a deep dive into your vision. We start clearing out those cupboards and drawers. And it's a natural, organic, rejuvenating, really beautiful and enlivening. It's, I'm sure your ego's going crazy, going, I don't have time to do that. And I don't want to remodel my kitchen. And that sounds like a lot of work. It's like, no, no, no. What you're doing right now is a lot of work. Doing it on your own is a lot of work. Doing it without your higher powers assistance is a lot of work. Spending 80% of your time thinking about other people, which you cannot control and you can't help and you can't really do anything about at the end of the day, trying to control outcomes in your mind, that's a lot of work and it's pointless work. That's the other thing is you're not moving forward. You're not going to look back on your life on your deathbed and go, no, I wish I would have spent a little more time thinking about Lisa. Who's Lisa? No, you're going to be thinking about you and did you do the job you came here to do? And so a lot of the people that I sent this invitation out to tonight, like you who showed up here live, you're meant for more. You're supposed to be doing certain things. Maybe you don't. Let me just enlighten you. The anxiety and the depression, that's what's behind it. If me and you hopped on the phone, there's a link on the landing page. So it's inflowandflourishing.com/happy-life, happy-life. And there's a link to book a free call with me. In that free call, I will show you, like you will see it you'll feel it. You'll see it in your own way that you'll know for sure. It's the truth. That the reason that there's certain things that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing, or certain things that you regret not having done that's actually causing the anxiety and the depression and the overwhelm. And if we could just get clear on what those things are and do a little emotional cleanup on the regret, on the guilt, on the shame, on the fear, on the embarrassment, on the disappointment, it would set you free. It would rocket you forward. Like I had people within 6 weeks of working with me completely turn their coaching business around, completely turn their career around, completely step out of the 9 to 5 grind and grow a business. Like, not even joking. Like, I had this one guy, he went from 0 to 10. He was working as a banquet server in his dad's company. He was yoga teacher certified for years, idealized this one temple that he really wanted to work at. Wasn't even a part of his vision because he just thought it was like never going to happen. So he didn't even write it down. He went from leaving his dad's company, getting a job, a paying job at that temple, and then having 10 new private clients in his coaching business, or excuse me, yoga business in 6 weeks. Like, I've had parents turn like years of strife between themselves and their child around in 6 weeks. Like, to where they're like meditating and doing yoga together, like doing Reiki together now, like sleeping through the night, like a lot of the dramas and traumas are coming from your own heartbeat. And when you're being anxious and you're being depressed, you're emanating that out into the quantum field, and you're getting feedback, and you're getting like attracting like, and you're getting more reasons to hang out in anxiety and depression. When you start letting that go through the true art of forgiveness and allowing your higher power to churn that up, release that from your being in a systematic, methodical, but easy and fun way that, like, I'm doing it right now while I'm talking to you. Remember, I talked about how I had that conflict and how I had that pain. Notice how I'm not talking about it anymore, right? Notice how I'm not second guessing myself. Notice, right? It's because you can learn to do this real time while you're walking and talking and chewing gum all at the same time. Kind of like how you learned how to drive a car, and now you could drive a car 100 miles and not even be like fully conscious while you're doing it. It's kind of like autopilot now. It's like autopilot now to go to the bathroom and not go pee pee in your bed. Like, at one point that was really hard for you. You had to get trained. Well, it might sound complicated, but this is naturally what our children are doing when they're born. Children are built, we all have an emotional digestive system. We just have forgotten about it. And I think we live in a world that's purposely trying to gum it up on us. And when you hack this and you get this and you practice these tools and techniques for just 6 weeks with me, you're going to go, shit, this is so much fun. This is so much easier. This is so much lighter. I feel so much better. This problem, you problems that you have now, you'll freaking forget about. Like, that's the gift of forgiveness too, is like just a lot of it, like, you just forget about. Like, it's literally just not a thing anymore. You go, oh, like, have you ever had somebody in your life where, like, you guys were hanging out for a while, like really close, and then all of a sudden you turn around and it's like a year or two later, and you're like, whatever happened to Susan? Whatever happened to Joelle? There was no big blow up. There was no big trauma. You didn't like have this big, goodbye ceremony or goodbye. Like, just like, oh, kind of just fell out of my life like that. Like, it's like, it doesn't make sense to the mind. So now I've got another conflict that I need to forgive, because I'm like, just the stuff that comes up with coming on live and talking to you guys. Like, am I giving too much? Am I talking too much? Do they like what I'm saying? Right? Like, this is normal. It's normal for you to second guess yourself. It's normal to have regret. It's normal to have disappointment. It's normal to have grief. What's not normal is how we've been dealing with it, which is not dealing with it, which is putting a happy face on it, just focusing on manifesting something better. That's crazy. You're not the creator. Like, you were created. You need to be working with your higher power. That was always the plan. Like, like that would be like me, like, on purpose popping out my kid to give it away. Like, why would I even bother? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever met anybody who's like, you know what would be fun? I'm gonna get pregnant on purpose, and then I'm on purpose gonna just send that child out into the world on its own. No, like, forget about like adoption and stuff like that. Let's just go with me on the analogy. God gave birth to you. God created you to work with it. You're not supposed to be separate. God is the generative, operative, destructive force in nature. You're not supposed to be separated from it. It's not supposed to be an afterthought or a thing over there. Like, you're supposed to be one with it. And the closer you can get to that more often, the more you're going to see miracles, the more you're going to feel energized, the more your spiritual gifts will become developed, right? But that's who we all are. It's like all of us humans have the ability to sing, but we don't all care to develop that gift. We don't all want to use it. Some of us have to work really hard of it to be good at it. And others of us come in like Michael Jackson, just with a microphone, seemingly like he has a microphone in his mouth, right? We all have spiritual gifts. We all have gifts of intuition, gifts of healing. And if we would start making that the priority, feeling good and tapping in and living from our heart authentically, you wouldn't see money problems. Not that money would, you'd be a millionaire all the time. That's not what I'm promising. What I'm saying is you wouldn't see money problems. You wouldn't see it that way. If money was low, we've all got that number, right? Like if it goes below here, I'm screwed. It's like you just wouldn't see it that way anymore because it's not true. And I think that's the best insurance policy and the best safety net and the best investment and the most fun thing we could be doing with our time is letting go of whatever's blocking us from tapping in and tuning into our own intuition and trusting and following it, because then at the end of your life, you will have nothing to regret. And when you add in learning about forgiveness on top of it, then even when you fail, which we all often do, it's a part of learning and growing and being successful, you forget about it. And it's just used for your up leveling. And so just life is a lot lighter and easier. But it's still coming. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy street. I'm not promising you the world with a picket fence around it. Um, but I am offering you freedom from depression, freedom from anxiety, the end of money problems. You know, I'm offering you the way out of feeling like it's so hard and you've been doing so many things for so long and you're not seeing the results that you want, and so you want to give up. Right. And I remember looking like I had it all on the outside and feeling this empty void and like something was missing on the inside. And it was just the worst. And trying to figure it out just from being anxious and depressed. And I was constantly beating myself up. And now this year, I get to take some, that's why another reason why I'm doing the 6-week program is I want to free up my time this year to write. There's been books dying to be born inside of me, so I get to take a step back and keep things light and easy and start writing these books and birthing more babies. So, like I said, doors open and close. You already know it. If in your heart, if you want to take advantage of the opportunity to talk to me, you already know in your heart if you want to be in the 6-week program, or at least if you have some questions about it. So click the link, book a time, let's chat. I love you. I'm going to check the chat one more time for those of you who came in live and who are still here with me. Thank you. You're welcome. I just got to thank you in the chat. You're so welcome. And yeah, I think I'll just end here by saying, God bless you. I love you. I hope this helped. If it did, feel free to share it with a friend. Shoot me an email if you have a burning question, and be sure to check out the 6-week program and to book a time to talk with me if that resonates with you. Bye.